Let's get a quick take on former Colorado Attorney General John Suthers winning the mayoral election of Colorado Springs this week, defeating former Mayor Mary Lou Makepeace. Patty Calhoun from Westward, we heard about these plans from John Suthers a few months ago, so it wasn't a shock, but he was a clear winner. I think officially his opponent conceded a few minutes after 7 o'clock the polls closed. What do you think of John Suthers' new position?
I think it's a fascinating move for him. Here's a person who truly believes in public service. He was thinking about it last summer, running for mayor. That was right when all the gay marriage issues were coming down. And although I don't agree a lot with John Suthers on some of his political stances, I don't think anyone can disagree that he's a very honorable man who works hard and has the common good at heart.
David Kolpo from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. Can John Suthers help, which is Colorado Springs, one of Colorado's biggest cities? What do you think his impact is going to be?
Well, he certainly aims to have a big impact, and I think he was, to some degrees, a Chamber of Commerce type candidate. I think he got 69% of the vote, which means besides the Chamber of Commerce, a lot of other people liked him as well. His theme has been to get Colorado Springs moving again, and I think reading between the lines, he is going to, down the line, be pushing for a large tax increase for infrastructure development, perhaps also for corporate welfare as well. We'll see what that happens, but I think he's aiming to be a very energetic and transformational mayor for the city.
Penfield Tate, attorney at Green Bay Traurig, also a longtime state lawmaker. Does John Suthers bring enough gravitas to move the needle in Colorado Springs, which is pretty conservative and also known to really buck a lot of, like as Dave was speaking about, government spending trends, whether it's for infrastructure or anything else? Can he make it happen?
Yeah, I think he does move the needle for several reasons. As Patty said, he's an honorable man. He's a stand-up guy, and he's a smart man, and he's established his management credentials. So I think for a city like Colorado Springs that's only had a strong mayor form of government for going on 5 years now, he is probably the ideal guy to come in now. He's clearly got a mandate. 69 to 32 is a pretty good mandate. He'll come in, and he is conservative, but what's interesting is I think John's a pragmatist, and he's a conservative coming into a city that he knows has not invested in core infrastructure and has not done some of the things to keep the city competitive with Denver and other suburban communities in the Denver metro area. And he's talked openly about a need to reinvest in the community, which, given where we are in Colorado, means you're going to have to put forth some tax increase measures. And I think John's the guy who will be measured, who will be judicious, but who will push forward because he wants to move the city forward and help it develop. It's going to be an interesting time for Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm. Kara DeGette, editor of the Greater Park Hill News, thank you very much for joining us. Colorado Springs is a very unique city. What do you think John Suthers' impact will be?
Well, as you know, and thanks for having me on today. As you know, I was in the Springs for many years as a journalist covering that very conservative city. And of course, John Suthers is an affable, very honorable guy. He has committed his career to public service, and he should be commended for that. I do have a little bit of a different take, though, in that, you know, I think Colorado Springs voters have certainly spoken, and overwhelmingly, they've said they want more of the same. His opponent was Mary Lou Makepeace, who's also a former mayor of Colorado Springs, but who was considered much more moderate to liberal in the city. And you know, with Suthers being elected as mayor, we've got, you know, a 63-year-old white male who is in charge of a 9-member city council with no people of color on it and only 2 women, and the average age of the council is 62.4 years old. So I think if they want to really ignite their economy and draw in some young, dynamic people and companies, they're really going to have to get creative in figuring out ways to make that happen. So best of luck to them.